let's actually start recording instead of talking for 20 minutes before and then not forgetting to hit the dang record button. We gotta do
Yeah.
this. But hey everyone, it's Sly47 here. I've got Red Gaming Dino here talking about the Regolo grind and overall, like, how is it? Do you like it? Should you do it? And much more. So Red, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
It's good to hear. Good to hear. So Regolo are the Italian DDs with SAP and HE. They have long-range torpedoes, short smoke, and short engine boosts, and everything. What would you say is, like, when someone goes, why would you want to go down this line, Red? What would you say to them?
Why would you go on this line? Because you are here to obliterate all destroyers in the game. That is your purpose.
Yep.
That's what you do.
And how does it do that? Like, what's the thought process when you're playing them?
So the way they do this is that they have a combination of very good base DPM, not the best, but they have a very good base DPM, and they have very good Alpha Strike with SAP, and they have the right skills, very fast reloading skills, they're very fast ships, so they're generally just built to hunt destroyers. They're designed to.
Oh yeah, no, I can contest. As I ground up this, I played mostly from the 6, 7, 8, 9. The 6 was really, it's very memorable. To me, it wasn't really. The 7 really left a mark on me, but you're just the Alpha Strike on DDs. You are able to cripple a DD early on, if not kill it, and that will help you win the game in the end, because a lot of people look at the short gun range of this, and they forget about the long-range torpedoes that many of these have, and that makes them play almost two different styles. You first start off as a DD hunter, but eventually, now all of a sudden, you can just straight up just hit torpedoes at long range and just bully battleships. But
yeah, they have amazing torp range. They have amazing torp range.
Amazing torp range. But Red, you taught me one thing specifically is, and I want to make sure everyone kind of hears it from your perspective, because I asked you this and you kind of put it succinctly. When should you use HE in this line?
Generally speak, okay, it's a little bit different than the lower tiers, because the lower tiers, the SAP penetration, you have smaller guns, so it's a little bit more finicky, the SAP, against battleships. If you're close enough, I'd say, like, I don't know, 4 kilometers from battleship, you could probably shoot SAP at it. But, like I said, the pen's a little wonky, even with SAP Plus, because I tested the SAP Plus at low tiers. It's a little wonky because it's small caliber guns, so you can kind of just shoot HE once you get near your max range against BBs, and then shoot SAP at, light cruisers. Heavy cruisers at low tiers, you shoot the 8, up to the tier 8, that is. You shoot HE at, like, most heavy cruisers, because the SAP pen is just not there. And then, once you get to tier 9 and 10, that's when you can pretty much, especially with SAP Plus, that's pretty much when you can just forget the HE, unless you're shooting Kremlin or a GK of some kind. You can't just forget about the HE after that.
That's one thing that I learned very quickly, especially from you and just kind of playing around with it myself, is that the SAP, once you get SAP Plus, especially if you have Paulo and like that, he makes the entire grind super easy and everything. But the overarching item is just you're able to keep up that SAP penetration even on the heaviest targets in this game, even though Kremlin and JK definitely are the ones you should be firing HE at. The rest of them, though, you have such short range that your pen loss on SAP is nothing. When you actually look at it, it's nothing.
You're basically facing ships where you would normally be shooting AP and other destroyers, because that's how close you're forced to be.
Because it's just the short range of these guns, and a lot of people they look at that range and they hear these are crippling DDs and they're killing them, but they're not really meant to be gunboats because they don't have that gun range. But that's a limiter on you to make you think differently in these ships, at least to me. I really enjoyed that kind of that constraint. It held you back from just sitting back in smoke or something like that and just popping HE. You actually kind of have to knife fight in this a little bit.
Yeah, there's a reason that this is probably among the hardest destroyer lines to, like, actually master, simply because you're forced to play in such a specific way where you can't. It's not Kleber where you can just YOLO whenever you feel like it. This is not Delny where you sit at 10 kilometers HE spam. This is like to properly think about what you're gonna do, where you're gonna go, and what you're gonna be running away from.
But the awesome part about that is that there's so many DDs in this game that people just kind of mindlessly play, that when you're actually putting a little bit of attention and work with the Regolo, you can really just dumpster those DDs super easy, because they're not expecting you to do what you're going to do, because you actually have to think it through.
Yeah.
And Regolo is so rewarding to play, except on stream. I think Bob even has banned it.
Oh, I mean...
because
Yeah.
it's super easy to counter because of that short range and like that. And then it's just torpedoes, and if you have good enemies, sometimes you're just gonna miss those torpedoes. But Red, what would you say is like the thing that kind of like counters the Regolo? What prevents the Regolo from doing its thing? If people are looking at this and kind of going, how can I defeat these? What would you say?
Well, you can bring another really good gunboat. Now, this is very finicky because not every gunboat is created equally, and it sometimes requires the actual player to be good in order to kill another Regolo. Say Gdansk, because Gdansk can take on Regolo, because Gdansk is radar and smoke. But, Kleber can take on Regolo if you are very good at Kleber, and if the Regolo player is not very good. So it really depends on the situation. Now, as for cruisers, you can deal with light cruisers in Regolo. Heavy cruisers are the bane of your existence in Regolo. You have no range, which means that they're just gonna full pen you the whole time. You're a very easy target for big cruisers. Even stuff like San Martin is gonna be full penning you, because you have to get close, but you're gonna get radared, so it's kind of just wraps at that point.
Yeah,
So heavy cruisers and some of the light cruisers that are like San Martin are a pretty big threat to you.
Yeah. No, San Martin has definitely dumpstered me a few times.
Also, Manfred AP bombs. This shit does not like. It is probably the worst CV to face in this thing. Is Manfred AP bombs.
Oh yeah. Now speaking of, although some people will look at the short smoke and the short engine accelerator. I know for me, I kind of use the short smoke as kind of a, hey, I want to get a little bit closer to dump torpedoes, kind of, or get away silently type of idea. But the engine accelerator, I think that's kind of the hardest point of when I decide to use. When is your cue to kind of go, oh, I need to hit that engine accelerator and go?
Alright, so the way I use speed boost in the ship, I use the first, because you have 6 speed boosts, you have 5 smokes. The way I use speed boost, I sync my speed boost with my smoke so that I go 50 knots while I'm in smoke. So I'll use the first speed boost, since I only have 5 smokes, since I have 6 speed boosts. I will use the first speed boost to go 51 knots early in the game, and that gets me into position to face the destroyer. By the time I find the destroyer, the speed boost is already back. I use speed boost, use smoke at the same time, and that's when I use it to face the destroyer. Now, if there's no destroyers, and I need to relocate, that's when I will use speed boost, because you will go pretty fast with speed boost. You go almost 50 knots. So there's no reason not to use it to relocate if there's nothing to shoot at, and there's nothing to synchronize your smoke with. But generally, I'll try to synchronize it with my smokes.
Okay. I've occasionally used it to dodge shells at long range, like a Columbo shooting at me at long range. Sometimes you can use that and you'll just skip out of the area of their fire. So
emergency speed boost is a very, very good speed boost because it increases your acceleration by 20%. So you can really like dodge stuff at range with speed boost and the fuel smoke combination.
Oh yeah, you definitely can. Now, with those two skills, you actually do want to take the commander skills for them. It might sound stupid to take the Mistweaver or Mistweaver Plus, depending on what you have, but that still does help out your cooldown, which means now you get them lightning fast back.
By the time you get in the time you get them back, it's like one battleship salvo.
Yeah, pretty much.
with the commander skills, it's kind of ridiculous.
And that's why Paulo is so critical to these, because it doesn't, like, Paulo doesn't make them completely different. Like, there's so many other legendary commanders when you pair them with the DDs that they are just all of a sudden a different beast. Paulo just makes the Regolo comfy.
It makes it so much easier. It makes it just so much nicer.
Oh yeah. Do you think there's any other commanders that kind of work with it if you in case someone doesn't have Paulo yet?
I'm looking for the commanders. At the lower tiers, you could actually use Campione because you don't have rapid reload at the lower tiers. So you could actually get away with using the extra night raid. Now I don't know who's using night raid at tier 6, but if you were, you could because you don't have rapid reload, so you could get more smokes. But Campione has some wasted skills, so I mean, Ichino's actually not bad, as long as you don't take the obviously useless skills like Adrenaline Rush or Compartment Maintenance. It's actually not bad. Daredevil Plus is always good. Fully Prepared Plus is good. Obviously, Sap Plus is always useful.
Oh yeah,
so
Sap Plus.
He's not bad. But there, Sansonetti is another good one. Sixth Sense is a really nice skill to have if you use Sansonetti. Sap Plus again useful, but like Sansonetti really only has a few skills that are useful.
Yeah.
So the rest are kind of just you kind of just use because they have Sap Plus. Like that's kind of just the way it works.
Yeah. And then with rapid reload at the higher tiers, obviously this is the perfect time. You're going to go in after a DD, you're going to dumpster it. You want to take Master Reloader to get those back a little bit more. Do you take Daredevil? over
I do actually.
fire
I do
charge?
not.
So you
I,
do.
I
Okay.
actually do not take a fourth rapid reload in Regolo.
Okay.
There have been times where I probably could use a fourth rapid reload, but I don't find it rapid reload reliant like a Clubber. I
It
don't
is
feel the
just.
need. I don't feel like I need rapid reload. It's more of a bonus for extra damage if I happen to need the use.
Yeah. It is only rapid reload 1 if I'm remembering right.
It is rapid reload. It drastically increases your DPM. You'd be surprised the DPM difference from normal to rapid reload, but I don't find it reliant on it, to be honest with you.
No, no, definitely not. And now that we've kind of talked about the ship, the skills, everything like that, grind overall. I know I actually skipped up to tier 6 because during the I think it was the early access I actually got that one and then just never actually got to grind it until lately and such. But like what would you say about the grind? Are there any pain points to you? Is there anything that kind of you want to change up your mind depending on which tier you're at?
Okay, well, up to before you get to tier 9, the grind is actually quite linear with the way it progresses. It's actually not that much. There's actually really not that many changes going from probably like the tier 5 to the tier 8. It really is. The only real difference is you're gaining a gun per tier, and you get slightly better torps and slightly better gun range, and like slightly improved number of skills.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot of changes from the tier 5 to the tier 8s. The only major difference I would probably say is the fact that the tier 7 and 8 are probably... tier 7 is decent, but the tier 8 is probably the roughest part of the grind. It's in a transition phase of the line. It's the last of the old lines. And then the next tier, you get immediately different. So it's kind of in a weird spot.
Yeah, it is. It is really weird. For me, I actually went back and played a few of the low tiers, and they just feel fine. They feel okay. I definitely agree, HE, most of the time. You're not really going to be using that SAF, except on DDs, maybe even at close range.
The low tiers do have the benefit of that. The tier 6 through the 8, they do have some 360 turrets. The tier 6 middle turret is 360. The tier 7 is 360. And then the tier 8 actually has full 360 turrets. I mean, that is like the one benefit of the tier 8, is that you have all 360 turrets. So you do lose that once you get to tier 9, but...
Yeah.
As for the lower tiers, they do have the 360 turrets to kind of help them.
Yeah, but I think at the tier 7 for me, so this is just my personal experience with the Luca, it was a terrible grind. It was absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of mixed feelings on the Luca.
Oh, it is... like, you feel like you're at that precipice of just being able to kind of out DPM everyone at that tier, but not quite. And then you don't have enough skills to really feel like you can use them in the same way that you can use them at the higher tiers, which kind of you can spam them, and you're kind of still feel safe even by the end of the game.
Well, Luca has this very big problem that Luca has a lot of speed boosts. You have 3 exhaust fuel smokes, so like Luca is kind of missing a few fuel smokes coming from the higher tiers. And I mean, I haven't played Luca in a while. When I last grinded there wasn't all the there wasn't Grom, there wasn't all this new tier 7 DDs.
Right.
But I mean, it's still decent. Like you still have very good SAP DPM for the tier. Like I mean, it's one of the better tech tree tier 7 to shores. Says a lot about the tier more than the ship, but
yeah, I was like, that's definitely more the tier. I don't think I'd ever want to go back to Luca, especially after Grom, Jarvis.
Although I always have said that the jump from tier 6 to the tier 7 was never really a crazy jump compared to the jump from the tier 8 to the tier 9, which is an insane jump. And it's not really a good jump from the tier 6 to the 7. I mean, the jump from the 7 to the 8 is arguably worse, but
yeah, I was like, let's talk about the Cunaberte, the tier 8. Now, tier 8 is already pretty rough because of just tier 8 meta in general. It is incredibly a tough tier and such. But the Cunaberte used to actually have a problem with the torp tubes being on the wrong side sometimes, but luckily that was fixed. And it does have 360 turrets. But the difference in firepower between the Luca and the Cunaberte, a lot of people find is, what got upgraded?
okay. Now, granted, the biggest upgrade actually realistically is that you have vastly better torp range. Like the tier 8 has like a kilometer and a half better torp range, so you do have way better torp range.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that you're in a tier now where like destroyers actually start having guns, and it's not too fun facing those destroyers with guns.
Yeah, you don't feel like you actually can do what you're like this whole line's supposed to do, which is dumpster DDs. So the tier 8 basically is this: cool, you got really long torpedoes, and your guns are short range, but they don't actually have the punch yet. They don't have the rapid reload 1 that the Adriatico has, or the guns. I've seen many Cunaberte players and talked to one recently that's grinding it, and they just feel held back. It just doesn't hold up as well as the tier 7 or tier 9.
it's not the worst tier 8 destroyer, but like the gunpowder difference from the tier 7 to the 8 is very minor. There's really no DPM boost. You get like slightly better damage, but I mean, it's just the guns. They don't. The difference in gunpowder from the tier 6 to the 7 was already minuscule. Going to tier 8, you have to face Frieslands now in this thing. That's not very ideal in this ship.
You have to face Atlanticos, which means you have to get in really close range to shoot them with your guns, or you have to get lucky with your torps, but you really didn't get that much of an upgrade from your torps from the tier 7 to the tier 8.
Range,
yeah, if you want to skip one, the tier 8 is definitely the skip ship. But if you skip tier 8, just an FYI, you go into a whole different other class. I want to make sure everyone kind of knows that there's that massive change from tier 8 to tier 9. So let's talk about the Adriatico now.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I had to start rethinking. This was no longer a DD. This was a light cruiser that happens to be classified as a DD because of just how massive it is, but how much firepower the sucker is packing for its tier. It is phenomenal. What was your take on that?
That's the thing. Pretty much up to this point, prior to the tier 9, everything's been a destroyer in this line. The tier 9 and the 10 are their cruisers. The Regolo historically was considered a light cruiser by the Italian Navy. These are cruisers at this point. And the firepower difference from tier 8 to 9 is astronomically different. Like, you gain bigger guns, you gain harder hitting guns, you gain faster reloading guns, and you gain rapid reload now. Like, the gun difference is not even close compared to the tier 8.
Yeah, and you get an additional engine boost, which as much as you have 4 smokes by this time. Not like that. It's lovely.
Oh, and because these are big DDs now, the lower tiers, they had an okay amount of HP. The tier 9 and the 10 have amazing HP, so they can finally like out HP smaller destroyers. They're not in the same HP pool. And also you start getting, what's it called? You start getting really nice torps. The torps really start turning into their own.
Yeah,
I mean, the difference between tier 9 and 10 is not really that. Tier 8 to 9, but
yeah.
They are improving slowly.
Yeah, but I feel like the torps are they're additive damage to these ships. In my opinion, I think I wish I actually had caught this on video, but there was one time where it spelled out exactly why you play the Regolo line. It's basically, in my opinion, I view it like triple system ships. These are ships where they've got a lot of toys to play with, and if you min-max and do them as much as possible, you just dump a bunch of skill in them, they just keep on rewarding you. Because I went and shot all my torps over an Adriatico, even though this happened in a Regolo a little bit too, at a battleship, then went and fought 2 DDs, killed them. During that fight, I got another like 50,000 damage from my torpedoes with the flood. And like that, like I am multitasking multiple ships, and all of them can't kill me. And that's the fun part of these, is that you have those long range torps. They don't do a lot of damage at tier 8-9, but they're just so long range and fast reloading. You just send them out sometimes, and hey, if you get damage, you get damage. If not, you're gonna go kill a DD anyways with your guns.
Once you get to tier 9, you pretty much finish the complete set of the gimmicks. You have all the gimmicks, all the skills, you have all the amazing parts of the guns and the torps. The only downside, the only real difference in playstyle from the tier 8 to 9 is that you now have pretty horrendous concealment coming from the lower tiers, which had decent concealment. Now you have some pretty horrendous concealment for destroyers.
Yeah.
So that is something to keep in mind when you start playing the tier 9, is that it's a lot easier to kill if you're not careful. Simply because A, you're literally a Tashkent, and B, you are now having worse concealment than most destroyers.
Yeah, but at the same time, because of that change and because of the firepower, which, you know, the only reason why I say this is because when I was playing the Adriatico, I felt like I was like, God, occasionally I just need that 4th turret. Just wanted that 4th turret just to get that last level off. You're like, right there. Would have killed it. Just know Regolo fixes that problem, and all of a sudden you no longer worry about firepower. But Adriatico was
I had a lot of fun playing the tier 9. I had a lot of fun playing it. It really sets you up for the tier 10. It really does. And
would you suggest it for ranked play, for competitive play?
I wouldn't say it's a bad destroyer. For that kind of stuff. I would probably pick some other stuff beforehand, but if I had to pick a gunboat, this would probably be one of the earlier choices. If I had to pick a large gunboat destroyer, that's Secretary.
Oh yeah, definitely. I could definitely see that. It's a solid ship overall. Just know that you will have those moments. At least I did. That during the grind, the tier 9. You wish you had another gun on you. You wish you did. But now let's talk about the beauty, the wonderful Regolo. Red, you take this because you've played this a heck of a ton more than me.
Yeah, this is the end of the road. Everything that we've been playing, learning and learning up this line pretty much leads to this massive destroyer. I just want to point out the HP difference coming from the tier 9. You have like a 5k HP difference from going from tier 9 to 10. I just want to point that out. It really does become a cruiser.
Yeah.
You get the extra turret. Your torps, a pretty massive torp buff actually. You get like you get over half a kilometer more torp range. You get the extra turret. You finally get the fifth fuel smoke, and you just get the complete package. It really doesn't get better than this for the Italian destroyers.
Yeah, and for everyone to kind of understand, the short smokes, when you have like 2 or 3, and like that, you kind of have an oh crap button. You're out of position, let's quickly fix it. Or you have a I'm gonna go kill someone. When all of a sudden you start having 4 or 5, you start realizing you can just kind of occasionally put yourself into a better position using it. You have an extra one so you can kind of play it a little bit loosely. When you have 5 of these suckers, you are now just straight up, you can just be like, you know what? I'm going that way and I want to make sure I'm not seeing Bill. Like you just
pretty much
choose. You choose.
You can just kind of spam. You can actually run out. Like they come back so fast. You can actually run out of these middle of the game if you're really trying to survive. Like you could actually run out of it. That's how fast they come back.
Oh yeah, it is great. And then at the range that these has, like because so many times you have, especially at tier 10, a lot of long range torpedoes, everything like that. But they also take a long time to come back. These are so quick, you can just pop them out sometimes. So sometimes I'll use them as a what I like to call as fish finder, is pump them into in a cap, see if you catch any. Right?
I treat these a lot like Elbing torps, not because they're slow, but because just like Elbing torps, the range is so long. You can send them so early in the game, and they're gonna reach the target by the time you get there. Like the torp range is amazing on this ship.
Oh yeah, it's also such a difference because then all of a sudden you go back to your guns and all of a sudden you see the range shrink massively and you feel like you're like a T-Rex just like with little arms and long legs. But
the little gun range is it's a double-edged sword because obviously you suck against heavy cruisers, but if you have to go stealth, the concealment ring is so small from the gun range being so garbage that you literally go stealth instantly if nothing's in 8 kilometers of you.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty funny sometimes when they play Regolo and I just go instantly stealth. So
yeah, because you're fighting off someone that can see you, and all of a sudden the heavy cruiser that's 10, 11 kilometers away, you've such a short range on that one. It is a double-edged sword, and I like it because it limits you a little bit. It doesn't feel like it's just got everything that it's not stupidly easy per se. You really have something that limits you, but makes you think.
That's what makes Regolo so enjoyable. It's such a hard destroyer, but it's so rewarding once you learn it. It's very, very well balanced ship.
Very well balanced ship. Now, I know a few people have said this, and I know you, I think, are one that would agree with this. Do you feel that Regolo steps on like Venezia's feet a little bit on its meta position, or in meta position?
If I had to pick of all the Italian ships to hunt with, it would probably be Regolo. Venezia has... I haven't played Venezia, but I've seen a lot of people play Venezia like mad stuff. Like, Venezia has the slap, right? Like, you have the 15k, there's always the clips of the 15k salvos on destroyers.
Yeah.
The problem with Venezia is that there's no follow-up. Like, it takes you 13 seconds to get that back. In 13 seconds, Regolo is doing probably the same amount of damage as a Venezia if you ever have reload going.
And then some. Like it's absolutely keep blooming. And then on top of it, no Citadel.
Not going to get nuked by a battleship.
Yep. And yes, you can get nuked by Columbos, definitely, and you will get clipped by Vermonts and like that because
it's a big destroyer. You will get full pendle on Regolo.
Oh yeah, so don't stay that way, but it's nimble enough because of just how small it is overall, like in terms of its package with mobility and its smokes, its engine boost. You're not feeling like you're per se sluggish or easy to hit. You can dodge pretty well.
Yeah, well, the only time you really feel like you're easy to hit is when you face a Hindenburg. That's not fun. That's not fun, this ship. That's all I'm gonna say. Hindenburg is your worst nightmare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unfortunately, there's probably only what, like 3 or 4 good Hindenburg players on this server.
Yeah, but like the problem is that like the Hindenburg's such a threat to you that even if they're not a good Hindenburg, you can't rush to hit, like you just can't unless they're distracted. It's actually almost impossible to ship because you just get instant nuked by Hindenburg.
Oh yeah. No, it's Regolo is really a thinking man's DD. It really is a solid or thinking person's, I should say, nowadays with everything. But yeah, no, it's just a fun DD line to go up. It is the grind's a little bit rough, but it's worth it in the end.
A few rough edges in the grind, but generally
Yeah.
speaking, it's not the worst one.
No, and let alone if you have Paulo, I think this is definitely a line to go up. Like just if even if you're not really a DD player, it teaches you a lot, really.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree. I feel bad for anyone who had the expectation these were YOLO destroyers if they played Paolo Emilio, but I feel bad. I wish too they were YOLO destroyers, but these are still good ships.
No, we're good. We're good on YOLO destroyers. I think we have enough. We have enough stupid shimas that just go in and dodge.
I would never be against Steve Paolo Emilio.
Yeah, right. That would be fun though. That would be. That is true. Any final notes on the Regolo?
Any final notes?
Anything? Any final thoughts that we didn't cover? Let people know whether or not they should grind.
Oh, the
line.
camos. I should probably mention this.
Oh, yes.
Camos.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I've had this discussion with Steve since like the beginning of time, as to which Regolo camo is actually better. There's the historical, which the only difference between historical and the normal one is torp range, torp speed. The argument for torp range is that you get like 0.4 kilometers of torp range. You can like hit things from like across the planet. The argument for torp speed is that they will reach across the planet faster.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like I guess it really depends on what you want to do with your torps. If you plan to hit torps more often, you could probably go for torp speed. But if you plan to like just send out your torps and forget about them, you probably should go for the torp camo. That's at least the way I see it.
And one of them could be technically free with the resources as they come out again in the shipyard. So it's sometimes
it was in the shipyard before, so
yeah. It's one of those nice things that you kind of choose. For me, actually, I like torp speed. I've now learned that kind of it's just like it's super nice just to be like, hey, send them out, and a little bit faster they get to their target, and also it makes it so that battleships they can turn in on them, but they're gonna not be able to react as fast. So I tend to land more per se with that torp speed. Just looking at per se like Gdansk or Holland or the Jaeger torpedoes when you have the skin on it.
Jaeger torpedoes something else. Jaeger torpedoes something else.
I know, right? Oh man, but yeah, with Regolo, I think that's pretty much recovered. Hopefully this.
You want to talk about the battle orders?
No, not really.
Okay, I can't lie. They're not the greatest battle orders. Although I will say 60 destroyers, that is a pretty fun one to do. You do actually enjoy
that one. You're just gonna that one's gonna be easy.
You actually enjoy doing it. I wish I could redo it because I actually really did enjoy my time with the battle honors.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. No, I don't know. The battle honors for this one, they're just all right. They're it's not like the Holland where it's like you just
they're not that easy level.
No,
they're not.
No,
you can't do them in like 2 days.
Yeah, you're not gonna go out on this line for the easy battle honors overall. You're not. Straight up.
Please, everybody, don't use APCS on Regolo. They don't have AP at tier 10. PSA. Always use IFHE, even if you lack Stat Plus.
Yeah, I think actually this is probably a good idea to talk about. This is, to you, do you feel like they need Stat Plus?
No. I played Regolo without Stat Plus, and I already enjoyed the ship before very greatly. Stat Plus just made it even more enjoyable.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
They're fine without Stat Plus. Like,
yeah,
you can play those without Plus and be fine.
Yeah, not required at all, which is super nice for people who don't have a high commander, or don't have.
Yeah, no, you can play this ship free to play for the most part. Really don't need a commander to make it amazing.
Yeah, I think that I'd say basically getting up your commander up to about tier 8-9 would probably be.
Yeah, you would probably want to get it up to that at least because you actually really do want the cooldown.
Yeah,
skills. That is a pretty important thing.
Yeah, that's probably the more important commander skills to get. But yeah, so overall in the meta right now, would you suggest a new player to go up the Regolo line?
If it was the first destroyer?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
It's not a starter destroyer.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. I would agree with that one. It's not a starter destroyer. But maybe for their second, third probably?
Maybe. It depends on what you grind first, though. If you grind Geary first, or especially if you grind Shima first, probably wouldn't recommend it as one of the earlier destroyers. I'd probably recommend grinding a more hybrid gunboat destroyer, like a Z-52 first.
Yeah.
Something that has so you can get used to having a DD hunting role.
I did Z-52, and then I think it was like, I can't remember what I did. I think I did a few cruisers, but then I did Regolo after, and it just all of a sudden made me go, man, the Z-52 really needs some buffs.
I would almost recommend Gdansk first, but I feel like if you get Gdansk first, it kind of spoils you. Like, you don't really feel like playing Regolo anymore. It kind of spoils you for the DD hunting, but Gdansk technically is the easier ship out of the two.
Yeah, but I'd say that the Regolo is far more rewarding. It's a lot more active, where the Gdansk is very much a simplistic chip, but it has its pain points, including Lambros. But
Well, I was gonna say, Regolo is also probably better to grind first because it actually teaches you stuff about destroyers. Gdansk won't really teach you the same things Regolo will. Regolo really does force you to learn.
Yeah, that's why I would probably suggest this as your third or fourth line to grind.
Yeah, I would actually recommend grinding Kleber before this. Kleber is actually, I would consider an easier ship. This thing. Kleber is, because the thing is that Kleber can get away with a lot more. He can get away with a lot of randomness. Get away with a lot of shenanigans when it comes to dealing with battleships. It can also, it's not forced to face a cruiser at 8 kilometers.
That is true, and that thing is great at flanking. And once you learn the master of flanking, the Regolo just makes it.
Flanker. Please.
Oh yeah.
Don't, this is not. I just want to make that clear. This is a flanking destroyer. This doesn't mean go to the map edge. I don't want this. Please don't go map edge.
I think it can. I think it can cap contest pretty well though. If it
has to, it can. But you don't have a sonar or radar, and you're a big ship, so it has to kind of be careful with it.
Yeah, Z-52 is definitely a better cap contester at that point, or Gdansk at that on that. Definitely can, but I think we covered everything for Regolo. I think we nailed all the questions.
Waiting for the Spanish clone.
Yeah, we'll eventually be getting a Spanish clone of the Regolo. We'll eventually be able to talk about that whenever that comes out. I don't know. We'll find out. This might come out before or around that. I don't know.
It might. Maybe.
Who knows? We don't know. We can't talk about it right now. Or, I don't know, maybe you can. Can we? Just maybe off video. We're going to stop here. Make sure to go over to Red's channel over there on YouTube. Give him some love. Go give him some subscribers and some likes. He's got some awesome videos over there. And don't forget to like and subscribe here as well. Help support the channel. If you want to support it more, you can go to the Linktree link down below or subscribe on YouTube and join. Damn it, I had to screw it up, didn't I?
Oh, no, close.
I did. I almost got it. But no, God, what was it? Or you can join on YouTube. I don't know if I'm going to use this take. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. But
close enough.
Close enough right there. But this is the podcast. It's how it works. I'm going to play it off. I've got a bunch of gameplay from the Adriatico and a little bit from their Golo, and I'm betting Red will even send some gameplay to me as well if he.
I guess that's gameplay.
Awesome. Perfect. We got that. So you're going to see some great gamelay. Let us know, have you gone down the Regolo line? Have you not? What's preventing you? Or what did you enjoy most about it? Let us know in the comment section down below. Else have a good day. Peace. You want to say bye?
Nah, I'm good.